in the US, Atlanta. And in the year before, it was in Korea. So it was also in South America, Brazil, Sao Paulo. So wherever possible, I do travel. I do travel to get connected with all the Rotarians around the world.
So, I mean, traveling is one of the best learning methods.
In fact, I would say, because I travel a lot, honestly, I'm most affected by the COVID, not by the disease, but definitely I've been locked inside an house for a long time. I'm a guy who would love to travel, not only me, my entire family. And in simple, except Antarctica, I've touched all the continents. Because my trade is such, because I worked for an airline for many years in the Middle East. So that gives you ample of opportunities to travel and explore places. So since I would love traveling, I always try to go to new destinations and see. And that is one of the things, where I've been to Korea, I've been to Sao Paulo. And, no.
So can we start? The 100 people already have.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Rest of the students, I think they are joining through YouTube. Yeah.
Yes,
please.
Sir. Yes.
Please, ma'am. Go ahead. Yeah. Perfect.
So thank you. We'll catch up later, Balaji, sir.
Sure, sir. We'll catch up.
So the MOC team, you can start.
A warm welcome and pleasant morning to everyone. We delight.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
thank you.
We delighted to welcome the gathering for their choice and impactful of communication organized by BB and BSc Department in Neck College of Aeronautics and Applied Science.
Small opportunities are often the beginning of great enterprises. Here is a small instruction to the participants to follow throughout the webinar.
Participants are to disable the mic and video button by touching the two icons. If you accidentally exit from the meeting, again click the meeting link and rejoin. Store chat box in the end of the session. A feedback form will be given after the session ends. Fill the feedback form correctly and get your e-certification for participation. Thank you.
Okay, so are we good to go? Shall we start?
So 1 minute, sir.
No, the agenda is there. There is an agenda with prayer.
Perfect. Sure.
So thank you, Rajeshri ma'am, for your necessary information. We bring forward our respect founder chairman, late Dr. P.K. Das, for showering the blessings to all. A blessing is anything that brings us closer to God. Now,
thank you all for peaceful participation. Happiness in our depends on how we think and the quality of our thoughts. It's my privilege to welcome our best HOD sir, Professor Singal, to welcome the gathering.
Yes. Very good morning to everyone. Now, for a webinar on the topic of career choices and impactful communication, which will be our chief guest is Mr. Haris Bharadwaj from Hyderabad. He is an engineer and HR consultant and learning facilitator, MC stand comic, and he is a musician. We welcome you, sir, Mr. Haris Bharadwaj, our chief guest, sir. Welcome, sir. Pleasure to welcome our Dean Dr. P.R. Balaji for our webinar and his enormous support in all the activities in our academic and in the other activities. We welcome you, sir. We welcome Dr. Professor Muthuswamy, sir, and the training manager, Mr. Ramesh Babu, sir, and the OC team, and our dear all faculties and other parents who have joined. I hope some participants are joined from outside our college. We welcome everyone and all. Thank you very much for all your support, and we welcome everyone for the webinar Career Choices and Impactful Communication, which will be given by Mr. Haris Bharadwaj. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for your hearty invitation, sir. Perfection is not attainable, but if we choose perfection, we can catch excellence. I invite the ever excellent leader of our department, Dr. P.R. Balaji, sir, Dean and Director, to preside over the webinar.
Beloved chief guest and the guest speaker of the day, Mr. Haris Bharadwaj, the head of the department, Professor Singara Vadivelu, Professor Emeritus Dr. Manager Mr. Ramesh Babu, all my other colleagues, the invited guests, and my dear students. That I deem it as an honor and privilege to preside over our CEO and Secretary, Dr. Krishna Kumar. Today he is held up in some other important assignment and he is unable to join us in the meeting. Generally, Tuesday means I always expect a thrilling Tuesday, and today we made it true. When I saw the topic, career choice and impactful communication, I felt it is the need of the hour for each and every student in our campus. And that is the reason, though the BSc and BB, I insisted even the MBA student should join this and benefit out of this webinar. See, many people, they join a particular course, whether it is BSc Aeronautical or BSc Aviation Management, or you name any course, without knowing where they are going to land up in the career or what they want to actually become in future. Their profession, they themselves don't know when they join. Either they join out of some compulsion, not out of the choice. Very few students, when I come across, they say they joined out of choice. Otherwise, mostly they join out of force or somebody's influences, they come and join. But their future will be where the career is going to lead. And it's very apt that the final year students are all campus very soon. You are in an online classes, but however, you will be completing the course soon. I'm going to help you out what your career choice is. You will have to also pursue your passion. Many people, in fact, I have seen approach me and he was asking me, sir, how do I become a pilot? I said, sir, why you are asking about this after you completing your MBBS? He said, no, sir, that was my passion always, but I was forced to do my MBBS because my parents wanted me to become a doctor. So what is happening? Sometimes we will be doing a course without our liking, pursue something else. And that is what today the speaker is going to speak all about. And while it's very, very interesting. He is an engineer himself, an HR consultant, and a musician. Very good. So engineer becoming a good musician, it's quite rare. And even yesterday I saw the playback singer Srinivasan. He is an engineer. He graduated from Coimbatore. He's an engineer, and today he's a very famous playback singer, isn't it? And yesterday I received something in the WhatsApp. He and his daughter performing a duet. So when I saw that, immediately my mind was thinking about Engineer Srinivas. Sir, just for information, in our campus, very recently, we started one group called MLA, the Music Lovers in Aviation. But we are definitely music lovers. And we started, during this pandemic time, we felt every time we are only doing online class and we wanted a change. And as a stress buster, we started this association. Had I known you before, I would have invited you as a chief guest to inaugurate our association. But however, it's not too late. You can always join us. Every Friday, we do have this singing session, not a competition. People, those who want to come, they will join. Like-minded people, we come, we get together on the virtual platform, and we sing whatever we know. We are all, in fact, not professional singers. We are all bathroom singers, but still we enjoy singing and we enjoy music. So good. So you are also a music lover. I'm really glad, sir. Of the webinar, today it says, impactful communication. Communication plays a very important role in everyone's life. Today you have seen the recent elections. All the politicians, they are very good communicators. But what happens? Who is going to give an impactful communication becomes the leader. The people, they get mesmerized by the talk. So likewise, even here, I always used to tell I said communication plays a very important role in your career, especially in the aviation industry. Working Rapport, where different kind of nationalities, and even if you are within India, the different kind of people from different states will be coming, and you will have to have a common language to communicate. And if you are a multilinguistic, that is one of the it can misguide and mislead your passenger. So today, the second portion of the topic is also very, very important, and it's going to be very interesting as well. Impactful communication. My mind thinks about Silappadigaram, where by mistake, the king says, instead of bringing him Kondruva, he uses a small slip of the tongue, he says Kondruva. And you all know, that's how the Silappadigaram, the Kannagi story has learned. Immediately the soldiers want to obey the orders of the king. They straight went, instead of Konduva, by slip of a tongue, he said Kondruva. They went and killed him, isn't it? So the communication is very, very important. Today, the speaker is here. So today, it's not a day for me to speak. It is the day for us to sit and listen to Mr. Harish Bharadwaj. Sir, your name itself says that you are a musician also, because you know Bharadwaj, there is a music director. And after that, I am coming across his name only through you. So very good, sir. I, as the Dean of the college here, I once again welcome you to this webinar, and my heartfelt thanks for accepting our invitation and being with us for inspiring our students. So today, the platform is all yours, sir. Like all other students, and thank you so much. And over to the MOC.
Thank you, sir, for your pleasant words. Results happen over time, not overnight. Work hard, stay consistent, and be patient. I call upon the consistent teacher, Mr. Rajkamal, sir, Assistant Professor, to produce the Chief Guest profile.
I'm very happy to introduce our chief guest of the day, Mr. Harish Bharadwaj, the teller every story deserves. An engineer, HR consultant, learning facilitator, MC stand-up comic and musician with a panache for storytelling. Harish has relentlessly practiced forms of engagement and storytelling spread across various mediums to create an creation of high-energy workplaces. A champion with millennial workplaces and audience. Harish weaves stories from everyday observations in his engagement, which triggers a thought process, adding to the overall impact. A polyglot with control over 6 languages, Harish is relevant to audiences across geographies, age groups, and sections. He is an XLRI alumni with degrees in human resource management and marketing management. Harish is also an engineering graduate from JNTU, Hyderabad. He is based out of Hyderabad and has emceed various corporate events and worked with teams across India and is among the youngest public speakers today. So I am very keen to listen to him.
Listen, I'm not telling you it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it. Now, I request the resource person, Mr. Harish Bharadwaj, sir, to share his wonderful knowledge on this platform. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for all the senior faculty members for joining the session today. Before I start, let me quickly ask something. I want all the students who have logged in, yes, on the chat box, so that I know how many students are there. So I want all the students who have logged in for this session to type yes on the chat box. Okay, I can see Sachin, Jose, Aishwarya. Okay, now. Lovely. So I will actually keep talking to you guys, the names that I see on the screen, because first thing I need to, this whole interaction cannot be one-sided. I can't deliver a monologue because this is always going to be about the responses that I get from you. Okay, so I want all the students to just respond on the chat box so that we can have this two-way communication, so that I understand what is it that you're thinking about. And I'm not coming with a syllabus. I'm not going to deliver something that's predefined. I think this whole discussion will have to take its own shape based on the responses that you give. Because career, when I say, there is no one set way to approach it, right? And people have to find their own path. This whole thing of being that one perfect profile, there is only one, absolutely, it's a myth. It surely does not exist. You'll have to find your own path. And today what we're going to do is I'm just going to share a few questions that I would request all of you to keep asking yourself so that you are able to make some important decisions for yourself. Okay, so that's the whole idea. Now, one thing that I would want to start with, I would love to start with, is this is something that happened with me when I was doing my engineering. We were friends around 8 of us, and there were 4 bikes in which we were going to some place on the highway. And one of my friend's bike ran out of petrol. So we stopped by one roadside shop, you know, those places where they sell petrol in little bottles. And there was this little girl who was standing there selling this bottle of petrol. So we stopped and we asked. She quoted around 30-40 rupees more than what was the usual rate, which was absolutely acceptable. And my friend paid her the money, and he was about to take the bottle when she said, "Don't take this bottle, I'll get another bottle for you." So she ran inside and came up with another bottle of petrol. So my friend asked, why can't I take this? He said, pretty much like you, there were another bunch of people who came to my shop last week and they ran away with my bottle of petrol without paying me. So my solution to that is I only display colored water bottles here, and the real petrol is always inside. That got me thinking. Um, the girl must be around 10, 11 years old. The way she thought of a solution to a problem, she could have so easily given up saying that this is not going to work because people, I'm going to keep the petrol here, saying that this is not going to work because people, I'm going to keep the petrol here, people are going to run away with it because they do come in a bike. But the kid's ability to think, what is the problem? How do I solve it was phenomenal. Till date, it's surely more than 15 years now. And I can still very easily connect to this one story whenever I feel I'm stuck. The idea is you need to find solutions. Okay, you need to think about what is the problem, what is the challenge, how do I deal with it? And if a 10, 11-year-old kid with a very little schooling experience can think and come up with a solution, you access to so much of resource are always going to find a solution provided you apply yourself. So keep that in mind. That's the first thing that I want to share with each one of you. Now, the question that I want to ask all of you is, let me talk to the student who, Maryam, M-A-R-Y-A, Maryam, N-C-A-A-S. What is the job that you're looking for after your graduation? I want you to, if possible, unmute yourself, or if you're not very comfortable, you can write on the chat box. This question is to each one of you, each student, especially Maryam. I want all of you to respond in the chat box saying, what kind of job are you looking for after your graduation? And why? Okay, 2 questions
Good morning,
within one.
sir.
Hey, Maryam, so nice to talk to you. What kind of job are you looking for after your graduation or your postgrad, whatever?
I want to work in, I couldn't explain the way, but I want to work in a highly economical airlines or in an airport. Mainly,
Okay.
I want to work in Emirates. That was my dream.
Okay. Why Emirates, Maryam?
Because from small, it was a very big airlines, and everyone should see that that was such a cute and such, and all the expenses in there was so good, and I heard that thing, so that it was my dream.
Oh, okay, perfect. So you want to work in an airline or a reputed airport, and your dream is to work with Air Emirates, if I'm not wrong, and because of the experience that you had. Okay, perfect. Now let me quickly talk to Sachin Jose. Sachin
Hello, sir.
Jose.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Sachin. So
Hello,
what
sir.
kind of job are you looking for, and why?
I'm planning to get into any managerial position in aviation field, sir.
Okay, and any
Because I'm also an engineer, sir. I finished my aerospace engineering, so technical knowledge as well as leadership qualities and communication skills will get me to, I think, any managerial position. So that's why, sir.
Okay, perfect. I have time to talk to one more student, so let me talk to Kannan. Kannan H, are you there? Kannan H, are you there? Okay, let me talk to Gopika.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Gopika. What kind of job are you looking for, and why so?
So I am actually trying for the Indian Air Force.
Phenomenal. And why so?
So as I grew up in a defense background family, my grandpa was in army, so he used to say me stories like that. So I was really wanted to get in. It was my passion from my childhood.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Gopika, and a special respect to all your family members who chose to serve the army or the armed forces in one way or the other. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, we heard 3 responses. Okay, and the next question that I want to ask you, I want all of you to respond on the chat box. Okay. The question is very simple. What are you looking for in your first job? Okay, I repeat the question. What are you looking for in your first job? I want all of you to respond. Ajmal, Shrija, Joshua, Kannan, Bhuvanesh. I want all of you to respond in the chat box. What are you looking for in your first job? Okay. This is, as I said, this is not a monologue. I just can't go on and on without getting responses from you. Reswin, Bennett, Nagaraj, Muthupandi, Mohammad Shafi. I want all of you to respond, to invent new ideas, experience. Okay, good salary and work experience. Okay, you're passionate about something, job security, encouraging character of the manager. Okay, satisfaction, respect in the society. Lovely. I've got some very interesting responses here, and I'm going to take this forward with the response that I've gotten in the chat box. Okay, now, some of you are extremely honest. You said that I want a good salary and I want a good work experience. Salary is obviously very important. Mariam mentioned that it's a reputation that is going to be important. Amrita said respect in the society is important. All the reasons that you have put in there, all the reasons that I see there, can be categorized into 3 boxes. Okay, and the 3 boxes that I see very clearly are interest, capability, and market value. Okay, there are only 3 boxes that I see all the responses: interest, capability, and market value. Okay, these are the only 3 categories that are existing. Now, if I look at somebody who mentioned respect, okay, Jnana Prakash actually mentioned respect. Now, respect is about interest, capability, or market value. Is respect linked to interest, capability, or market value? Interest, capability, market value. Respect is linked to market value. Okay, market value is something that's outside, decided by the ecosystem that is outside. Today is something that is respectable, tomorrow it might not be. Okay, so we need to keep that in mind because that can vary from time to time. I still remember in the year 2008, there was a big recession. Okay, the whole economy, not just the Indian economy, but the world economy was hit big time due to recession. That was around the time when my cousin, my friend's sister was about to get married. So 2006 is when they started looking for alliances. They started talking to families, and all. And I would go to their house and used to have this conversation with my friend's father, and he would say, I'm looking for a guy who's like really settled, well settled in the US, nice paying IT job. That's what I'm looking for. And this was end of 2006. And 2008, there was this recession that kicked in. And when I had this conversation with him, he said that, Nene, I'm looking for somebody who has a very secure government job in India. I've seen that flip happen in around 1 year's time. That got me thinking. I went back home and put it on a piece of paper. I still remember I wrote down my thoughts on that. In 1 year, the market value changed completely. A profile that was absolutely in demand by the end of 2006, by the time it was 2008, was not preferred. There was something else that had gone up the ladder. Okay. Having said that, is market value important for what you do? Absolutely, yes. But think whether you want to keep it as the number 1 factor to make career decisions. Okay, it is important, absolutely, yes. But is that going to be the number 1 factor for you to decide on what you want to do for the rest of your life? So that's about market value. And the first one, that's it. Now, when I was talking to Gopika, and I asked her, why do you want to become a part of the Air Force? Did she talk about interest? Did she talk about capability? Or did she talk about market value? Did she talk about interest, capability, or market value? Gopika, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the reason why you want to become a part of the Air Force, Indian Air Force, is that because of your interest? Is that because of your capability? Or is it because of the market value?
My interest, sir.
Right. Perfect. Spot on. Perfect. because she's not trying to become a part of the Indian Air Force because of the respect that it gets. She's not trying to become part of the Indian Air Force because of the money that they pay. She is trying to go there. She's trying to make it there because of the interest that she has, looking at people in her family do that and take pride in what they do. So interest is defining and deciding her career choices. Now, if Gopika gets into the Air Force and someone else in her batch gets into some other kind of jobs, Gopika earns around 30% lesser than the other person. Do you think people in her house? No, not at all. Why? Because she has chosen to pursue her interests. Right? She has chosen to pursue her interests. So she knows this is the path that I've chosen. This is what I'm going to work on. Right? And that makes a huge difference. Remember one thing. Even if you get your first job at the age of 25 and you choose to retire at the age of 60, for 35 years, you have to be doing this thing day in, day out. You have to be a part of this job or the profile or the industry day in, day out. If you don't have your interests aligned somewhere, you will become a person who hates his or her Mondays. And I don't want you to become somebody who hates his or her Mondays. Touch wood, I've been blessed, I've been lucky. Never once in my life did I dread that the Sunday was coming to an end and next day is going to be a Monday. Luckily so, because I had the right kind of people to support me and I got the right kind of mentors. My partner was somebody who was extremely supportive. I never had to regret my Mondays. And trust me, I wake every day almost the same way. Think about this. Please try and understand what is your interest and align what you want to do with that interest in one way or the other. But if you're choosing only at market value, like for example, somebody has mentioned that I like the reputation, I like the respect, it is something that is fairly unpredictable. It is something that is unpredictable, right? The pilot's job absolutely has a lot of glitz, glamour, sheen to it. But it's extreme hard work. And looking at the aviation sector in India right now, the pool is shrinking. So there is a lot of competition. So I want you to base your decisions on all the three aspects of interest, capability, market value. Okay, is market value important? Yes, but is that going to be the number one factor on the basis of which you make your decision? I don't think so. Keep that in mind. Next comes the most important aspect, or one of the three factors I was talking about, is capability. Capability building is extremely important. Now let's talk about anybody who is worthy of being treated as an example today. Let's talk about Sachin Tendulkar, right? And do you think at the age of 16 making it to the Indian cricket team was easy? No. Do you think having interest alone is going to make you a great cricketer? No. When he was at the age of 16, do you think cricket paid a lot of money? Was there a lot of market value for cricket? No. But he still chose to pursue something on the basis of his interest, and he would go to the ground to practice 365 days a year. Every day he would be there practicing, shadow practicing, real practicing, playing matches, taking feedback from his coach day in, day out. What was he actually doing? He was building his capabilities. Okay, you need to understand your interests in a field which has some market value. That is how I want you to make your career decisions. Okay, you need to have the interest first, develop the interest, and then find ways to develop your capabilities, right, in a field which has some market value. That's it. I'm not going to say today, tomorrow, day after, because market value, as I said, what are the things that would come under market value? The money that you make there, the reputation associated to it, the pride that is associated to it, the respect that is associated to it. These are all market value factors. What I mean to say, it's unpredictable. It's like crossing a road while you hold a cow's tail. Which way is the cow going to turn is not in your control. So it's a lot to do with blind faith that you're having in the market, right? Nobody today has the ability to predict the market. What is not going to get respect, what is going to get paid a lot of money, what is not going to get paid a lot of money. Everything is dicey, right? And I want you to understand that fact. So you need to focus on your interest, right? Spend a lot of time focusing on the capability. Capability building is very, very important. And then comes the market value, right? Mariam, now you got it right. Interest, capability, market value. And whenever you get some time, I want you to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and very clearly mention what is it that interests you, right? And then chart a path on how you want to develop your capabilities, and then market value is going to follow. Okay, if you got this idea clearly, I want you to type yes in the chat box. If you have any question, I want you to write that in the chat box as well before I move on to the next part of the discussion. Okay, I see a lot of yeses coming. Okay, a lot of yeses coming in. I don't see a lot of questions. Okay. Now, another incident that I want to share with you. This happened in my end of third year of my engineering. And in those days, there was this concept of pool campus, right? So there would be around 6 to 7 colleges that would create a campus placement opportunity for their eligible students. They would come to the campus and they would go through the process, and few of them would get selected. I still remember walking to this college. There were around 2,500 students. Okay, 2,500 students there for the written test on that day. Okay, so the written test happened in batches, and by the end of the day, from the 2,500 odd students, around 1,100 students cleared the written test round. Okay, so end of the day, there was a list of 1,100 students, and the day 2, they were to conduct group discussions. So the group discussions happened. It takes a lot of time to get people in batches, to score them, come up with a list, blah, blah, blah. So the 1,100 odd students, around 600 people covered the group discussion round on day 2. So we were sitting in the auditorium of the campus. I'm sitting there. And the people, representatives of the company, actually walk into the auditorium and say that congratulations, they put the list. 600 students, around 600 students have cleared the second round and are due for the interview round. I said, great. And I still remember the HR said, we have our interviewers in the campus today. They have time for 10 interviews today. Of the 600 interviews that are to be conducted on day 3, because they are here, they want to conduct around 10 interviews today. Anybody who is interested can put their hand up. That minute, I'll try to verbalize my thought process. If I haven't studied anything till date, the 1 day's extra time is not going to make any difference. Okay, this 1 day's preparation is not going to help me crack the interview. So why wait till tomorrow? I put my hand up. So of the 10 people who were interviewed on that day, 6 people got selected. Okay, of the 10 people who got interviewed, 6 people got selected, and of the around 590 to 600 students who interviewed on the second day, around 200 people got selected. Okay, so of the 10 people, the hit ratio was 60%. Of the 600 people, 200 people got selected, so that's around 33%. Again, that got me thinking. Were we really good? Were we phenomenal? Were we so good that the difference was almost double? 33% on day 2 and 60% on day 1, were we very different? No. My realization from that incident was the fact that people like people who grab opportunities. Any and every opportunity that you get, grab onto it. Never let it go. Never be a passerby. Don't sit in the back row of life. In your classrooms, you can sit in the back row because that's where the best ideas come. But don't be a passerby. Don't let opportunities go past you. If you're getting an opportunity to interact with somebody in a public forum, be there, engage. It will just help you improve yourself. Okay. So whenever you're getting an opportunity to speak, present, turn on the video, audio, go ahead, speak, create your presence, because people love people who grab hold of opportunities. Okay, keep that in mind. Whenever you get a chance, implement it. Okay, the next piece that I want to talk about to each one of you is in most interviews, a very common question is what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? Okay, why do you think they ask this question? Why do you think they ask this question? I want all of you to respond to that in the chat box while I talk to a couple of people. Riaz, can you unmute yourself, please? Riaz, are you there? Okay, well, Riaz, yeah. Riaz. Okay, now that Riaz is taking a little time to unmute, I want all of you to respond to this question. The question is very simple. In an interview, it's a very common question to ask, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why do you think they're asking this question? Mariam has responded. Joshua, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
Hi, Joshua. So you have mentioned to know your abilities. Okay. Suppose this is an interview and I ask you, what are your strengths? You give me a list of 5 things. So I'll note it down and think, okay, Joshua has these strengths. Do you think it happens that way?
It's not like in that way. So they get to know more about ourselves, like or like that.
Okay. Whether we'll be suitable for that job. Interesting. Thanks for sharing that, Joshua. Right. Mariam says self-capacity. Twinkle says how well we know about ourselves. Twinkle, that's a very interesting response. How well we know about ourselves. That is a big deal. Yes, they do look for that in the interview as well. Now, let me tell you something. How do you define your strengths? Okay, now that Joshua is there in front of me in the screen, Joshua, I would like to have this conversation with you. Could you unmute yourself?
Yes, sir.
And if possible, turn the video on so that I can put a face to the voice.
Yes, sir. Sorry,
okay. No problem. Yeah, Joshua, so tell me, yes, to check your courage, some interesting responses that I'm getting here. How do you define your strength, Joshua?
So like, I'm capable of working under pressure and in any circumstances. That I consider as my real strength, sir.
Okay, so can you share an incident from your life where you demonstrated this skill?
So I was working in a Tic Shack factory as part-time job, sir, during my second year. And I was completely new to that environment and working like that. And I was the only guy who was in the shop, and I have to take care of it completely, sir, because the owner will leave the shop to me, and I have to take care of it completely. During weekends, I can expect more customers, and I am the single guy in that shop. And at that time, I just realized my capacity to work under the pressure, and I completed my work without any miss. So that I consider as my real strength, sir.
Sabash. Phenomenal response. Thank you so much, Joshua. And let me also tell you, if you have done any kind of job, okay, any kind of opportunity or job where you have created some revenue for yourself, income for yourself, please do talk about that in the interview, because that has a profound impact on the overall equation. Thank you, Joshua, for sharing that. Now, if you look at the way we define strengths and we define weaknesses, I think there is a huge gap in the way we do that. Okay. Your strength is anything and everything that helps you achieve your objective. And your weakness is anything and everything that holds you back or deters you from achieving your objective. So that's the simple definition of strength and weakness. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because you need to understand the same thing that's a strength in situation 1 will become your weakness in situation 2. Be very, very clear about that. So you need to assess the situation and accordingly define what is your strength, what is your weakness. So whenever you get an opportunity to interview or talk to anybody, you need to understand that you have to understand what is the situation present here, what is the ecosystem, what are the different factors, and on the basis of that, what are the things that I can do, and let me present those as my strength. I'll give you a simple example. So there was this interview with a mining company, okay? And I had this friend of mine who was like 6'2". He was like a giant. He was a basketball player. And he always considered his strength, right, and his personality to be his strength. Great. So I'm 5'7", and would look like a tiny version in front of him. And when the mining company guys actually came in, they walked into the room, we had the written test, and then they walked in and they said, they pointed at 3 people, you, and you can leave the room. And those you, and you included my friend, who was 6'2". They said that, sorry, you are not selected for the second round, and they had to leave. And I was sitting there, okay, great, I've been moved on to the next round. So, and you won't believe the reason behind that. They said, we have a lot of mines, we don't dig up to 6.5 feet. So we dig max to 6 feet. And then our engineers will have to step in for inspection for all the work. So somebody who's more than 6 foot tall will find it extremely difficult to work in those mines, which is the reason why, unfortunately, we have to eliminate some people. I realized that reason. I walked out of the room later, and then in front of my friend, I did a little dance. And he was like, well, why are you doing this? This is so irritating. And that's when both of us kind of realized that what we consider to be our strength or our weakness is extremely situational. Okay? Somebody, who looks extremely handsome, extremely smart, beautiful, I don't think they can work as a spy because the job requires you to be unnoticed. Okay? If you look phenomenal, you have a great personality, even in a crowd of 1,000 people, you're going to grab everybody's attention, and that's something that you have to avoid. So what I'm trying to explain to you is when you talk about your strengths and weaknesses, please understand it is extremely situational. Okay? And whenever you define your strengths, you are a mixed bag of different things. You have different abilities, capabilities packed in one. I want you to make a list of those and assess the situation. Could be a conversation or an opportunity to interact with somebody. Understand what are the things that you can use as your strength, or what are the things that you can present as your strength, okay? And make use of that. For example, I was doing this workshop on advanced resume writing, and I usually ask people to mention if they have any leadership responsibilities they have held so far. And I got a resume in which said, one of the students had mentioned that eldest son in the family of 4 kids. I kind of smiled at it, and this is not something that you have worked hard for, right? So why do you mention this as a leadership role? And the response that the person gave was, I'm the first generation that is going through formal education. My parents did not get formal education of any form. And I'm the first person who has come all the way to graduation. And I have this responsibility to make sure that my 3 other siblings get the same kind of support and guidance, which makes me a leader, which is why I consider that to be a leadership responsibility. I was stunned. I was out of words, short of words for a good 5 to 8 seconds. And then I said, yeah, it makes sense, right? He assessed his situation and he chose to present certain things that he has in a way that creates an impact. His ability to understand the environment and present things that he had was phenomenal. And that, my friend, is extremely, extremely important. Okay, so things, let me quickly summarize the things that we've spoken about. The first thing we spoke about is on how do we decide on what are the different factors on the basis of which we need to choose our careers or create or define and design a career path. It has to be interest. If you have no interest, I don't want you to be hating all the Mondays for the rest of your life. Second is capability. Interest alone is not going to help you get what you want. You have to pack it up with capability. You see so many kids of superstars and producers coming into movies. Yes, do they have interest in filmmaking? Yes, but if they don't have the capability, they just fade away. They don't get opportunities. So interest is important, capability is important, and creating the right kind of market value for yourself is very important. That's the first thing that we spoke about. And the second thing that we spoke about is your definition of strength and weakness. Okay, right? Those are the two things. Now, how is this even related to communication? A lot of people, I've seen way too many people assuming that communication is about speaking in English. You couldn't be further from the truth. Okay? Please don't look at communication just as your ability to speak in English. Language is a very small component when it comes to communication. There is so much more to this whole gamut of communication that people rarely explore. Communication is about presenting your ideas. Okay, if somebody is aware of coding, it's very simple. I mean, your ideas is the whole idea. It's the whole content, and then you code it in a certain language. Okay, that is the role of language. And the receiver decodes your ideas and then understands that. So the role of language is just limited to coding and decoding. Coding your ideas and decoding somebody else's ideas. That is the role of language. Your thought process need not have a certain language. You are absolutely free to think in any language that you feel comfortable. Okay, so if your ideas are not great, okay, don't blame the language. The language can't do anything there. Okay, you might be somebody who thinks in Tamil. You might be somebody who thinks in Malayalam. So you might be somebody who thinks in Hindi. No problem. It's only the presentation part that comes in a certain language. You code it in a certain language. So the quality of your ideas have to be top notch. And I want you to think and train yourselves to do that. Okay. And when it comes to communication, is the language important? Yes. Is the language the only thing that is important? A big no. Okay, small percentage. The word vocabulary, yes, 7%, 7 to 10% is what language impacts on the overall communication. The rest of it is on something else. I want you to focus on that. And the minute you have better clarity on what you want to say, you will express yourselves much, much better. Okay. So if you're very clear about why you want to do something and how that's going to benefit the other person, how is that you are going to approach it, those kind of things, that kind of clarity is going to help you present your ideas much more effectively, even if you're just 60, 70% good in terms of language. Okay, right? So I'm not discarding language. Is language important? Yes. But I'm saying, is language the only thing that is important? No. Okay. And I came across certain profiles who are preparing and their future is to be working in airports. Your communication skills have to be next level, my friend. Because the kind of people that you will meet, people will be under stress, people will be there will be people who don't have time in hand. There will be people who are maybe new to the whole ecosystem. Your ability to communicate to them, right? Understand what do they want and then give it to them is going to be very, very important. The last piece that I want to talk about, because we're running out of time in communication. One thing that I want you to focus upon is try to give what the other person wants. Okay. So when you're preparing for an interaction or an interview, I see a lot of people focusing on themselves. What is it that I am going to wear? What is it that I am going to say? What is it that I am going to carry? Okay, fine. Your preparation is inwards. But I want you to do your preparation from the other perspective as well. I want your preparation to be outwards. For example, who is it that I am talking to? What is the kind of profile do they have? What could be their possible line of interest? How do I say, or what do I say to create a rapport with them? I want your preparation to be outward and not inward. Okay? You might have the best of, what do I say? You might have the best of, right. You might have the best of pizza in the world, okay? But imagine if your shop is located outside an old age home where people are very, very old, they are 80 plus of age. Do you think they're going to enjoy that pizza? Right? No, not necessarily. Their idea of enjoyable food is going to be very different. Okay. So even though you have the best pizza in the world, your idea, your business, your communication is not going to be successful. Okay. So please be very clear. Other example that I can think of is understanding your audience is who wears more of jeans and denims, right? Younger people of the category 16 to 25, 30 are the ones who wear more of jeans and denims. But if you look at it, most of the times in that age category, between 16 to 25, the money for the jeans is actually being given by the parents, right? Who's giving the money? The parents are giving the money. Who's actually choosing to wear jeans? The people who are buying it, the kids, the guys and the girls who are wearing jeans. If you understand, the denim company is always going to advertise to the kids. In their ads, they are going to show people who are 20 years old, 24 years old, strong, sturdy. They are trying to attract their audience. They don't care who pays for it. It could be the parents who are paying for it. So they don't show their parents in the ad. They're not trying to attract. The psyche here is when they market, they understand what is their target audience, what do they do, and accordingly create content for them. That, in a nutshell, is effective communication. If I know what you want, and according to that, I make certain changes, that is when the communication is going to work, else it will fail. I mean, you can check with Srividya. Yesterday, I sent her a list of 4 or 5 questions to understand who are the people that I'm talking to. If I don't know who I am talking to, then I might as well send across a video. If I'm talking to somebody live, I need to understand who I am talking to, what are their aspirations, what are their dreams, what do they expect to do in the next few years. And accordingly, if I'm able to make those few subtle changes, that is when the communication is effective. Else it is bound to fail. Okay, so in a nutshell, career choices to be based on interest, capability, market value. Define your strengths and weaknesses according to the situation, right? The environment decides whether it acts as a strength or not, right? And third is in communication, it's always important to understand who you are talking to and make those subtle changes. That is the best way you can create a lasting impact, right? So it's 11 past 11:30. My time slot was from 10:30 to 11:30. So thank you so much for the opportunity. The next 2-3 minutes, I would love to take a few questions if you have any, right? Any questions, please write on the chat box, or if you want to unmute yourself and speak, that would be great as well. Any questions that you have, you can ask me now, and I'll try to answer in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Right? Deep, Joey, Mariam, Twinkle, right? Nitya, any question, feel free to type it in the chat box, or if you want to unmute yourself and speak, if you want to unmute yourself and speak, that would be great as well. Right. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Okay. Okay. Vidya, are you sharing a presentation or something?
No, sir, just a question and answer section if any there, so we can do
Right.
it, sir.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Right. Any question? A great time to ask. Grab the opportunity. Mariam says, why is it necessary to look over the one who we are going to communicate with? We should be self-prepared to be communicate with them. True. There are two ways to it. One is to be prepared. I'm not asking you not to be prepared, but also be aware that the other person is also important. What will happen if I make a brilliant Korean movie and release it in Tamil Nadu? Okay, the movie is great. I know that my product is great, but the audience that I'm playing that movie to does not connect or relate to it, so my movie is going to fail. Similarly, in communication, you need to understand what is it that you want to say, right? And at the same time, also understand who am I saying that to, and what are the little tweaks and changes that I need to do to make that more effective, which is the reason why it is important to understand the other person's perspective as well. I hope that answered that question, Mariam. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir, thank you.
Right. Any more questions? Anything else? Oh, we request you to sing a song, right? As Sir was mentioning, there is another forum for that. I will surely join you guys there sometime soon. Is there any necessary to speak in advanced English during interviews? Joshua, that's a very interesting question. There is nothing like advanced English, honestly. If you're able to express yourself effectively in a certain language, over a period of time, you also need to minimize the number of errors. Okay, like Balaji sir gave the right example. One incorrect word and the meaning changes completely. Okay, so we will have to make sure there are no errors. Error-free language is good enough. Forget about the accent. Forget about the lingo. If your language is error-free and you're able to communicate yourself, I think that's more than enough. So this concept of advanced English, for example, if you want to become an English language coach, then the level of English that is required to do the job is going to be slightly higher. Okay, but in a job where you need to have functional English language knowledge, I think, if your language is error-free and if you're able to communicate your idea, you're doing really good. So that should be good enough. Thanks for asking that. And while I see some of you typing your questions, sir, how build my interview skills? As I said, interview skills is all about clarity in the way you answer questions. Okay, it's all about clarity. If you look at an interview, most of the questions are already leaked. It's an exam where the questions are leaked and still people fail to answer them really, really well. For example, tell me something about yourself. If you fumble there, you are not prepared. You knew the question and you still came unprepared. So obviously you're going to get rejected. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why do you want this job? What do you know about the company? Right? Why should I hire you? What are your top strengths? These are questions that are going to be asked in one way or the other. And if you're not prepared, you are gearing up for rejection. So in terms of interviews, that is what you need to prepare. Know more about the company, know more about the profile, the JD that you're applying for. Those are simple things that we need to keep in mind when we are preparing for interviews, right? Ashwini is asking how to build confidence like you. Ashwini, interesting question. I'll tell you. When I was in my engineering end of second year or first half of third year, I got chikungunya. Okay. And a lot of people took around 2.5, 3 months to recover, but I recovered in 2.5 weeks. But as a side effect of that, I started losing hair like crazy. Okay. And obviously, when I started losing hair, I started to look a little more elderly. But and then I realized there are two aspects to a personality. One is personality, one is physicality. Okay. And personality is something that you can develop yourself. Physicality is something that's the gene pool. That's nature. So you can't do much about that. And I started to focus more on the personality aspect of it. People, yes, would say, "You're bald. Why? How? With what confidence do you go up on stage?" I said, I have decided to work on things that are in my control, which is my personality. So I'll try and talk to people in the way they like, in the way they connect and create rapport. So the confidence, I think, comes from the fact that I trust myself. I believe I can create a rapport with a different set of people. And I think the confidence comes from there. So that's the key to confidence. Being confident, being you can do, and also be sure about things that you shouldn't try. That's the key to great confidence. Thanks for asking that. Nitya is asking small tips for communication from your side. Most of the things that I shared, you need to focus on that confidence, presenting yourself, knowing the story that you want to share, and that's going to be crucial. How to improve the way of being expressive to communicate.
Thank you, sir.
Just second. Thanks, Nitya. Expressive. Everybody cannot be expressive, okay? But everybody should have the ability to communicate, right? Note this down and think about it. Everybody cannot be expressive, right? But at the same time, everybody can be effective in communicating their ideas, okay? So you need to think, what is it that you want to say, and what is the kind of impact it is supposed to create. This used to happen when I was a student. Somebody would come and crack a joke, and he would come and share a joke, and we would not feel like laughing. We were just, so what actually happened there? The other person read a joke that was really, really funny, but the way he presented it, it was not funny. Okay, so you need to think, you need to have control on what you want to say and the kind of impact you should have on the audience or the person you're talking to. Imagine a director making an emotional movie and the theater, everybody is laughing. That means he has missed the mark. He has miscommunicated. He or she has miscommunicated the whole idea. Okay, so you need to understand what do you want to say and what is the impact that idea. Okay, so you need to understand what do you want to say and what is the impact that you want to create, and then design what you want to say, and that will be extremely effective. And the last question: small tips for easy communication. There is no easy way to communicate with people. Focus on rapport. As I said, the person in front of you is very important for the communication to work. If you don't address the other person the way they want, your communication will fail. Okay, simple tip: observe, understand, and right now we have LinkedIn, we have Facebook. Understand who you're talking to. If you know that the person has a certain interest, because the last line that I'm going to say is rapport is very important. Rapport na enadhu? நம்ம வந்து யாரோடாவது ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் மீட் பண்ணும்போதே we feel like we know this person for a long time, right? There are times when you just meet somebody while you're traveling, and then you feel you know this person and the conversation really happens. Why does that happen? Because you feel there is a rapport. What is rapport? It's something that is common that you have. Maybe they think the way you think, maybe they speak the way you speak, maybe they like to engage with people the way you do, some commonality. Okay, and I still remember I was in Southeast Asia, and then I was standing there with my wife, and then I saw somebody open a box, a steel box. Somebody opened it, turned around, and I saw somebody in that box. They had idli and mulagapudi, and trust me, I felt as if there was so much common in between us. I looked at them, I gave them a smile, they gave us a smile, and then we started chatting. Why did that happen? Because we found something in common in a place that I thought nobody would be walking around with idli and mulapudi in their tiffin boxes. Common with the person that you're talking to is the crux. It's the core to great connect, rapport, and communication. That how to balance communication with ideas. Idea is language independent, right? You can have the best of ideas in the world. To express that, you need help, you need a little support of language. So that is how you create the balance between that. Whether our skills help us to gain job and sustain it. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Your skills, your interest and the capabilities that you have is something that's going to contribute heavily towards you getting a job, number one, and also sustaining it. because when we talk about a professional life, when we talk about a career, we are talking at least 3.5 decades worth of engagement. So we better be good at that. Okay, so thank you for all the questions. Lovely talking to each one of you. And Vidya, back to you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. So,
Thank you,
emotional.
sir. You are braver than you believe, strong team, and smarter than you think. Thanks a lot, sir, for your smarter presentation for our students. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. I would like to call upon Mrs. Srividya ma'am, assistant professor, to show her gratitude towards the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. A warm and graceful morning to one and all gathered here. It's my privilege to have to propose a vote of thanks on this wonderful occasion. On the behalf of our Nehru College of Aeronautics and Applied Science and the entire fraternity of this institution, first of all extend my most sincere thanks to Almighty. On my behalf, I extend very hearty vote of thanks to our Honorable CEO, Sir, Dr. Krishna Kumar, Sir. Thank you, Sir. On my behalf of the entire institution, I would like to thank our beloved Dean, Dr. Balaji Sir, who is giving a wonderful support for organizing the webinar successfully. Thank you, sir. I would express my heartfelt gratitude to the head of department, Professor R. Singaravadivelu Sir, PA, Dr. Muthuswamy Sir, Professor Emeritus, and Training Manager, Mr. Ramesh Babu Sir. At the outset, I thank our chief guest and resource person, Mr. Harish Bharadwaj Sir, an HR consultant, a musician, a storyteller. Sir, we are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable knowledge and time from the busiest schedule to the gracious occasion. Thank you, sir, once again. I have obliged to active participant here. Your suggestions always help us. I extend most sincere thanks to all my faculty members who has made this webinar a grand success. A big thanks to MOC team, Rajeshri ma'am, Ilakya ma'am, Rajkamal sir, and Abhisha ma'am for their effort. Thank you, team, wholeheartedly. I once again thank you for all making this webinar a grand success. Thank you all. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Thank you very much, sir. HOD, sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Mr. Bharadwaj, sir, it's a very wonderful, very explanatory, very much kind thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Lovely talking to you. Thank you. Pleasure was all mine.
Thank you, sir, very much. Very useful for the students.
Thank you, Muthuswamy, sir. Means a lot. Thank you.
Sir, all are requesting to sing a song.
What? That's another forum, and I'm pretty sure that will also happen someday. This is just the first step, so I'm pretty sure we will get to interact with all of them.
And some of the students have asking your social media to contact you.
Yes, I've shared my LinkedIn profile in the chat box, so I will share it once again. So you can surely reach out to me on linkedin.com/in/Harish Bharadwaj/. So that's my LinkedIn profile. So I'd surely love to connect with each one of you. Okay. So
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation. I think our students are really enjoyed, and I'm very happy to see the students are very active in this webinar. So I'm so glad to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And one very strange thing has happened for the first time in my lifetime, which is your Srividya madam calling me sir, which has never happened. I hope that never happens again.